Welcome back to your update on OnlyFriends. For today's episode, it is episode 3, and we have Memory Recall is what it was called. So, just like last week, I'm gonna go in order by the couples. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So, there is an event that does intertwine in like sort of interaction between the two, but I trust that you got it. I believe in you. Okay, so first off, we're gonna deal with Tua and Arnold's storyline, 'cause it's just not as like big in this episode, necessarily speaking, and it also does not intertwine with the others too much. So, as we know, Boston's back. Whatever. I'm not even upset. I don't even care. The episode begins with yet again another war flashback, but this time, instead of it being our genuine main couple, Jack and Dean, it is Tua's war flashback. An unfortunate war flashback to his time with Boston. So, what had happened was Dean dragged Tua to a party so that Dean could meet up with Jack, obviously. By the way, this flashback was a year ago. Yeah, it was a year ago. And then in war flashback, he ended up meeting Boston because Boston was hanging out with Jack. They were talking, whatever. Dean makes a comment that I guess at this point Tua's already drunk and Tua wants to go the fuck home. Tua wants to go home. But instead he says, I'm dragging this girl to this party. Fuck him. You know? And then unfortunately, the next time we see them, it is Boston and Tua in bed together, presumably. We don't have to presume that it was after that happened, because then Boston takes Tua's picture, and we know that Boston taking your picture usually implies that he slept with you. It's really unfortunate. I knew I should have known better. I really should have known better, because I was like, oh my god, it's so crazy that like Tua's first kiss was with Boston. I should have known that Tua's first kiss also turned into Tua's first time, because Boston was involved. I should have known better. And I didn't. And that's on me. For sure. Boston pulled out some lame line about how he only takes pictures of the special people that he sleeps with. That's a lie. So, glad to see Boston was on his stuff back in the past. And then, as we know, Boston left and moved to New York. I can presume, based on things that were said, I think this interaction happened before Boston and Nick were something a year ago, and then he went to New York. I can presume that around this time period, Boston and Nick are actively having a thing. OnlyFriends season 1 was actively happening at the same time, most likely. We can presume that. Okay. Now we're flash forward. It's now the present, and they're doing like a photo shoot for the play or whatever. When we're doing this photo shoot, we meet a new character. His name's Pete. He's the accountant for the show. I feel the need to tell you that because I feel like they're only telling us because Pete's gonna be a fucking problem. Fuck him. You know, who cares? And when we're doing the shoot, Tua is obviously in charge of everyone's outfits and whatnot. And at some point, he's talking to Dean, and Dean was like, dude, you know, isn't it crazy that you have to see Boston again? That's wild. Because, you know, they're like best friends, so obviously he knows everything that happened. He's well aware that Boston did as they keep calling it, a nail and bail. Oof, bad. Yikes. So then he asked him, he was like, well, what about the whole kiss situation with Arnold? Like, how'd that go? And he was upfront about it, and he was like, we've not talked about it since then. If I'm completely honest, we haven't. And he was like, dude, now's your chance. Dean leaves, and it's Arnold's time to get dressed. And he goes for it. He goes to talk about it. And, oh, I feel bad. Arnold essentially low-key shuts that conversation down. He hits him with a baller one. He says, you were drunk. I was drunk. You don't have to keep thinking about it, because I'm not thinking about it either. I'm not thinking about it either. It's fine. Girl, move on. Crazy work. And he was like, yep, yeah, no, that's cool. You're right. I'm just overthinking it. My bad. My bad, pimp. And then, God, when's the next time? Oh, the next time we see Tua's low-key a teeny bit after that's the same day. Boston comes down to talk to Tua in the dressing room or whatever. And he's like, oh, the outfits were really good. And he says, yep. Tua, very clearly this whole time, by the way, does not want to talk or really interact with Boston. That's not what he wants to be a part of right now. He does not want to do all this mess. And Boston just keeps talking. It's not really going anywhere. And then Boston starts making comments. He's like, you know, it's so crazy about the fact that, like, your first was so special, so cool. And he was like, I'm sure there's plenty of people that are better than you. And he responds by saying, okay, well, if that's the case, then are you seeing anyone right now? He's like, why does that matter? Like, why should I tell you that? And Boston proceeds to put Tua up against the wall, which was terrifying for me personally, by the way. I love Tua, and I don't like Boston, so don't like this. And he essentially tells Tua that he wants to start over with Tua and be serious with him. Listen. I am not about to participate in another Nick and Boston situation with Tua, okay? Nick, that was my girl. He was literally just girl, meant everything to me, and Boston ruined that. It is not about to do it with Tua, because I will send a pipe bomb to GMM TV Studios if they try to pull this on me. Anyways, blowing right past that, yeah, he makes a comment about how he's currently actively courting Tua now. In his deranged mind, he's now courting him. Whatever. God, I hate him. Who cares? Let's move on. So, Arnold ends up, I think it might be this same day, if I'm for real in the club. He ends up dropping Tua off at home, and like a rainstorm's going on. And Arnold's like, man, I can't go home. So he has to hang out with Tua. It's insane, you know? And I hate to say this. I don't really remember much of this conversation. I just remembered that Arnold had to stay home. I don't remember much. It was a fairly meaningless conversation, I think. which is messed up to say. Whatever. Who cares? And then we see them later in the evening, and Boston shows up at Tua's house. I don't know why he knows where Tua lives. That's not my business, I guess. Shows up. Arnold's still there. They were watching a movie together. They were having like a nice time. But now Boston's here, and Boston invites himself inside. Arnold says hello to Boston, so Boston takes it as more of an opportunity that he could just fully walk inside the house. So he does, you know, because why not? Because your name's Boston and you're the worst person alive. And he sits down on the couch next to Arnold, and he starts making weird little comments and moves towards Arnold. He's hitting him with a, you know, because Arnold asked him what he used to do in New York, and he was like, when I was in New York, I would take people's, like, portraits. Like, I'd take pictures of people. That was what I do. And then he's looking at him, and he's like, you know, like, you looked really good at the shoot that we did. And he said, you know, that was all because of Tua and, like, his outfits and stuff. Like, it's all because of him. That's why I looked so good. And then he was like, no, like, I'm telling you, like, you could totally be like a model, you know, you just keep going for it. You could be a model, you could be on the runway. Yeah. Then he's like, you should let me take pictures of you sometime. You should let me, you know, take pictures of you. Tua is very obviously upset. He's not happy with this conversation. It's really obvious that Boston's doing this kind of just to mess with Tua, you know, because Boston's Boston. He's the worst person to ever walk this earth. And he's showing Arnold his pictures, and I think, and Arnold's kind of like, yeah, like, these are good. No, yeah, I'll do it. No, yeah, dude, whatever. Unaware that Boston's game is, I sleep with every single person I take pictures of. My name's Boston, and I'm the worst person alive. And later in the episode, oh, wait, I remember the conversation that they had. The conversation that they had when he was supposed to be just dropping him off was him bringing up Boston and being like, it's clearly you don't like him. It seems like you kind of hate him. And he said, yeah, I do, man. I don't like him. He's not cool. And, I want to say this is a conversation later where this all unfolds. It's like close to the end of the episode. They're talking, and he tells him about the fact that, like, Boston was his first kiss, did hook up with him, and then ghost him in every way possible, including, you know, moving to New York. Just leaving the country. And Arnold makes a comment, and he's like, you know, I can essentially be like a bodyguard for you. Like, anytime Boston's around, he's making you uncomfortable, he's making you upset, like, you just let me know, I'll stand in, I'll help. I'll be sure he can't get to you. And I said, oh, that's crazy, girl. That's crazy. That's insane. That's wild. Whatever. Not my business. Not my business. Now is it? No, it's not. No, it's not. That's it for them. I did see that, unfortunately, next week's preview did let me know that Arnold does, in fact, say yes to the photo shoot with Boston. So I'm terrified for that. They sleep together. I'm killing myself. So... Whatever. Next. Our next couple will be Raffi and Rome. Do they even interact in the episode that much? Not really. Okay, so while they're at the shoot, Raffi's showing up in the place where I guess the food is for the peoples. And he's checking all the foods, and he's getting upset because he's like, oh, you know, I can't eat any of this. Like, I'm allergic to seafood because I guess seafood gives him a rash. The SpongeBob song just got a lot louder, so I'm really sorry if it's overshadowing a little bit. And Rome gives Raffi his food because he's like, what I have isn't seafood. Like, it'd come off a lot meaner if you ordered food yourself and without accepting their food. Like, I'll just eat some of the other stuff. Whatever. Who cares? And then after that, they end up talking. Raffi's making comments about it. And he's like, what's going on here? Like, what's like the subtext of you giving me your food? And he said, girl, there isn't any. You're tweaking. Honestly, valid questioning from Raffi, considering the fact that at this point they slept together twice and now he's giving him his food. It's like, girl, what's going on here? What is this mess? And then Rome invites Raffi swimming. He said, come swim with me, girl. And Raffi says, okay. Raffi says, okay. Because at first Raffi's like, girl, what are we doing? And he was like, nothing. Like, I just want to be friends with you. I'm just trying to be friends. God, I'm just trying to be friends. Nobody's thinking about the fact that we hooked up. Chill out. So he agrees to go swimming. When they're going swimming, Rome meets up with his friend named Bass. He wasn't a fish, by the way. I feel the need to say that right now. He's not a fish. It's unfortunate that they met at the pool and his name's Bass, and I'm trying to say that he's not a fish, because it sounds like you won't believe me. And he's talking to him, and he's like, oh, like, are you gonna be coming to the, party or, like, event that's coming up? And Raffi's like, yeah. And he said, are you gonna bring that other guy that used to come with you, James Dean? And Rome gets silent for a second. He says, no, it's not. Raffi's getting a little, the wheels are turning in his head. He's like, yo, this is kind of interesting. They end up in the pool, whatever. They're swimming, and now we're not swimming. And Raffi has pinned Rome against, like, the side of the pool. This is a public pool, by the way, so I'm not doing all this mess right now. And he starts talking to him. While Raffi is talking to Rome, this is a really unfortunate thing I'm about to say, because like I said, this is a public pool. We have our hand in inappropriate areas on Rome's body. They stress me out. I'm not doing this. And he proceeds to ask him about, like, the party he'd go to. And he was like, you work there all the time? And he was like, no. He was like, I just occasionally do GJ stuff there. And then he starts asking about James Dean, and he pipes in and he says, I don't remember. I don't know who that is. That's great. I have no idea. I don't know anything. I'm just DJ. I don't know nothing. And then Raffi's like, okay, that's cool. Let me come to the party with you. And Rome says, no. No, you're not coming. So Raffi stops touching Rome, to which Rome gets upset, and he's like, dude, come on. Finish, please. And Raffi essentially hits him. This is gonna be a really unfortunate sentence. This is about to come out of my mouth. He basically hits him with a if I'm not coming, you're not coming either. Yo, what are we doing? Public pool, just remember. And so Rome agrees to let Raffi come to the party, and so Raffi finishes his business, what he's up to. I'm upset because after the scene finished, I started having the realization that Rome was going to finish into this pool, and I'm actually really upset about it because that's a public pool, and now I just tainted it with that. Yes, public pools are filled with piss, I know, but like, dude. Pee-pee pool is one thing, but like, sperm pool is another. Just saying. Whatever. We'll move past it. We'll move past it. I'm not even thinking about it. they're at that party now. It's just some like rich kids party or whatever. And Raffi's low-key ripping on Rome for DJing the party. He was like, you do stuff like this all the time. Like I don't expect you to do this. You need the money that bad. Which, Raffi, leave him alone. Dude's just trying to do his job, dog. Dude, what's wrong with you? And he's like, no, like, I just do these parties kind of for the exposure. Like, they're rich kids, dude. They're gonna get me exposure. I need the experience, exposure, stuff like that. Raffi spots Bass come in and sit down, and he looks at Rome and he says, I need to go step away to go smoke. I need to go smoke. Be right back, you know? Classic bit. And, this is so upsetting. Goes over to Bass, and he's like, hey man, how do you get into this like hosting business? Because he's now learned that this is like a party full of hosts. And Bass is like, dude, you give me your contact stuff, like you could do it. You could do it. Like I'll get you in the business, girl. Don't ever. And he asked if he'd make as much money as James Dean would. To which Bass responds with, you know James Dean? He said, yeah. He said, I'm friends with him. That's if we're talking about the same Dean. And he asked if the dude has a picture. And lo and behold, the guy does have a picture. He does. It is a video of Dean at one of the hosting events being a host. I feel the need to preface this right now. Okay? Dean was a host in the way of he would go have dinners with these people and entertain them at the dinners. He did not sleep with these people for money. It was not that kind of hosting job. I feel the need to mention that because I know it's kind of a thin line between the two a little bit, and I'm well aware OnlyFriends is OnlyFriends, so it'd be a little not shocking to be like, he's that kind of host, but like he's not, which was ball. And the Bass guy, he has to walk away for something. Oh, the rich kid's gonna blow out his birthday candles. It's the guy's birthday, so he's got to step away. And he leaves Raffi with his phone. He's like, here, put your contact info on my phone. Raffi puts his contact info in his phone, and at the same time sends the video of Dean to himself, and then unsends it like from the guy's phone, so he has no idea that he sent that to himself. And now we're doing a cast reading. And the cast reading doesn't get to start because someone ruins the cast reading by sending that video to the entire faculty of their grade. But they don't know it's Raffi because he sent it from an anonymous account. Not his own, obviously. And after he sends that, they're like, okay, guys, reading's over. We're done. Everyone leave. Oh my goodness, leave me alone. And he's outside, he's smoking a cigarette, and Rome shows up, rips the cigarette out of his mouth, stomps it onto the floor, and gets super upset with him. And he's like, that was you, wasn't it? That was you who did that. And he was like, you have no proof that it was me. How dare you naturally assume it was me? And Rome obviously doesn't believe Raffi that it wasn't him. And he's like, you have no proof that it was me. Like, so many people also knew about it. Like, who's to say it was me who did it? And he was like, I feel like it's you because I took you to this party that had the guy with the video, and you stepped away, and you probably stepped away to go talk to him, get the video, and then spread it because you don't like Dean. He's like, whatever. And he says, I gotta go. I need to go comfort Jack. Pretty sure he needs it right now. And Rome essentially hits him with like a, what's wrong with you? Like, that's so unnecessary. And he's like, well, maybe it'll get me some extra points. And he walks away and he leaves to go find Jack. he does end up finding Jack. It doesn't go well. Yeah, that's that. I'll emphasis more when I'm in the Jack Dean subsection. Okay, now we're in the Jack Dean subsection, actually, so we've already moved on. I'm trying to think. Yeah, nothing really happened at the shoot. The only thing that happened was Dean being mean to Raffi. He was talking to Raffi about the fact that, like, him and Jack, you know, have hooked up and stuff. And Raffi's dunking on him. He's like, you know, doing intercourse to, like, get the role, like, that's insane. And he tells him, he says, no. That's just ex-boyfriends who are still in love hooking up. Crazy sentence. And that's it for that day. And we move on. Boston. This is post photo shoot at nighttime. Boston and Jack are out shooting pool together, you know, just like the girls do. And we discover why Boston came back. Boston came back because I guess he hated New York. He found it boring, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I wish Boston had died in New York. Got shot like JFK, you know? The classic bit. And, actually, before I continue, I just want to make one comment. I keep thinking about the fact that I asked you how it was when JFK got shot. And that's insane. I digress. I'm moving on. So, what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, okay. And so, Boston ends up asking Jack if him and Dean are together, and Jack says, no, we're not. We're not together. And Boston makes a comment, and he says that it doesn't seem that way. It doesn't seem like they're just friends. It doesn't seem like they're just coworkers, you know? It seems a little sus. And I don't blame him, because yes, it does. We're insane. So, let's move on. Dean calls Jack, and I forgot something. Dean did at some point end up talking to Jack at the photo shoot, and it was literally him being like, let me come over to your place, I left my wallet there, and Jack saying, no, I'll just bring it to you, like, leave me alone. So yeah, that did happen, whatever. Dean calls Jack answers, and he's like, did you change the passcode to your place? Because his passcode did used to be Dean's birthday. And Jack hits him with a, it's none of your business, and hangs up. So now it shows us Dean, and Dean is Dean is at the front desk of the, like, place where Jack lives, or whatever, you know, because it's like an apartment condo type place. I don't know. His place is 2 stories, so I don't know what to call that at that point. And he's talking to the guy at the front desk, and he's like, dude, come on, like, you need to help me get in my boyfriend's room. Like, he's not answering, and the guy's like, no, I'm not gonna help. So Dean starts crying, making up some story about how, like, Jack's been saying weird stuff, and about how now he's not answering, and, like, what if he's dying in there? Like, you're just gonna let him die like that? And so essentially he guilt trips the dude, and the dude does in fact let him into Jack's apartment. And then Jack reassures the guy that, like, oh dude, like, he's fine, he's just passed out drunk, like, we're so chill. And then he stays in Jack's home without Jack being there. Jack's not there, obviously. He's cleaning up Jack's place. Like, Jack has a few drawers that are open. He's closing the drawers. He's closing the cabinet. His wallet was there. That was not a lie. I thought it was a lie, honestly. Takes his wallet, you know, cleans up some garbage, blah, blah, blah. He goes to shut a drawer, but he peeks into the drawer before he does, and he stops because he sees a, like, one of those kind of, like, hospital-type bands, you know, for a rehab center that Jack stayed at some point, which Dean did not know about. So Jack comes home and he's walking up to his place and he hears music coming from his apartment, and immediately he knows, oh my god, Dean's in my house. Dean's in my house. So he goes in there and he's like, hey, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you at my place? And Dean's like, are you hiding? He was like, why? Like, you changed your passcode because you're trying to hide something from me? And Jack's like, no, I'm not. And immediately he asks him about the rehab center. And he asks Jack if Jack's an alcoholic. And Jack responds that it's essentially none of Dean's business. And that, you know, like, why would Dean care? Dean does respond, essentially saying that, like, he does care and that he had no idea that, like, Jack went to rehab, and he just, like, wants to know what's going on. So what we find out is that Jack did go to rehab because after okay, Jack had found out about the host job that Dean was doing and was upset about it. And he broke up with Dean. I thought it was the other way around this whole time because of how Dean was carrying himself. I thought Dean broke up with Jack, but that's not true. Jack broke up with Dean. Jack broke up with Dean, and then he didn't handle the breakup and all the stuff too well, and he fell into a bit of a substance problem, and he went to rehab. And he's now clean from whatever the substance was. I know they say alcoholic, but I don't think it's alcohol because Jack has consumed alcohol, which wouldn't make sense for the storyline. So, kind of wonder what he did. And if it was alcohol, low-key bananas that now he can just jump right back to being, like, super cash about alcohol. I don't know. I feel like that's not really how substance abuse problems work, is being able to super quickly bounce back into having a good relationship with it. Whatever. Not my business. Not my business. I've never been an addict before. I've only lived with them my entire life. So what do I know? What do I know? Nothing. And he... Also, by the way, I just want to say, good on Jack for realizing he had a problem and getting help for it and staying clean. Good on him. I will be very upset if for the act of the plot to add drama at some point, they make him have a relapse in his addiction. I will be very upset if they do that. I fear that will be not cool, and I will be very upset. So yeah, keep you updated on if they try to pull that one on me. Okay, yeah, so later it's now a time when they're supposed to do the, like, table read together, and obviously it doesn't happen because that video gets shared of Dean, and so they kick everybody out, and the only people left in the room are Jack, Dean, Tua, and Timmy. And they're all talking about how they're like, I don't know, like, who could have done this? Like, we're the only people that knew about it. And Dean immediately decides that it was Jack. He immediately decides it was Jack. He was like, I feel like, he said, I know you're really angry with me, but, like, would you really go through the process of, like, doing this just because you're so upset with me about all of it? And Jack proceeds to say that, like, yeah, he's upset that Dean had lied to him and all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And then they proceed to get in their physical altercation because, by the way, leading up, we were yelling all this stuff at each other, and now that we're in our physical altercation where we're low-key fighting a little bit, Timmy and Tua are tearing them apart, and then we leave. We move on. The next time we see them, Dean is sitting in the theater, in one of the theater, like, seats, and he is staring at a picture of him, his mom, and his sister. Presumably that's who the people are. And he's low-key, he's teary-eyed. He's having a very emotional moment. And Jack comes in, and Jack decides to talk to Dean and kind of comfort him. And he's talking to him about it. And the way I'm going to sum this up is just by telling you essentially what we learned. What we learned in this subsection is Dean became a host because his sister works every single day, like very consistently, to pay for Dean's college tuition. And his family also in general has like a debt problem. They have a debt problem, but they didn't want it to like affect him going to college for his passion, you know. So they're kind of working overtime to try to handle both. And Dean didn't like that, and he wanted to be able to be helpful and kind of be someone that like can also help out. So he ends up working as a host. He turns to Bass, and Bass helps him get this hosting job, which obviously he makes money from. Jack found out about it and was like, I don't want you to be a host anymore. Like, I don't like this. And Dean says, yeah, I'll stop. I won't be a host anymore. And Dean continues to secretly be a host behind Jack's back. And Jack couldn't stand Dean lying to him. And so that's why they broke up. Was because what hurt him the most was the lying. Because Jack makes comments about how he understands why Dean like took this job and why he did what he did to like make money, and he understands that Dean was in a really hard spot. What he can't handle is the fact that Dean never came to him for help. Dean asked someone else for help instead. And then, you know, all this stuff happened. And it kind of made him feel really terrible as Dean's partner of like, why would you go to someone else instead of me? And Dean tells him that it was simply just because he didn't want to be like a burden to anybody. And he did feel like, you know, going to Jack with these problems of sorts and asking him for help would make it be a burden. Because they do have a discussion that Jack definitely lives a better life than Dean does. And he does have money like that from his family to do all this stuff, while Dean obviously doesn't. And so Jack reassures him that like when you love somebody, like you're not a burden to them. That's not how that works. And he tells him that he honestly just really wishes like that he would have come to him, and kind of lets him know like you can drop your guard around me. Like you don't have to be this strong person. Like you can be weak around me and like it's fine. Like I won't ever judge you for that, you know. That's what I'm here for. And Dean apologizes for being the reason why Jack had to go to rehab. He does tell him, he was like, I really wish like that wouldn't have happened and I wouldn't have made you like develop that problem and have to go. And then they share a nice moment. You know, they share that nice moment. It does end with them making out because this is still only friends and everyone is low-key horned up all the time. It's insane. I don't know, guys. During the kissing moment that they're having, that is when Raffi finds Jack and sees them kissing. And Raffi's low-key pissed. And he leaves. Because imagine you go through this whole process to try to tear these two people apart so you can get with one of them. And instead of it tearing them apart, it makes them actually talk about the event that happened, have a genuine, heartfelt conversation about it, and brings them closer together. Yeah. Hey, Raffi, wrap it up. Call your Uber, wrap it up. You need to go home. We're doing too much. And that is Only Friends episode 3, Ball. I did see that next week we're seeing Boston a little too much, and I don't like that. I don't want to see Boston ever again. They did reassure me that Boston's gonna be here until the end, so thank God. I was really worried. Whatever. There was also something else that they showed me next week. That was crazy work. Oh, yeah, next week, Dean is going to ask Jack if Jack is still interested in him. And so I think there's a chance they might get back together. I don't know, because even if they do get back together, there is still that emotional moment in the trailer where Dean's, like, apologizing and he's having a big, huge moment. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm nervous. I don't want to deal with that. This episode, a lot of the times, there was so much drama going on. It made me a little anxious, and I did feel like I wanted to throw up, and I want to smoke a cigarette after all this mess. And I don't want to watch Boston next week. And that's my thoughts on this week. I'll see you next week. Actually, that's a lie. I will see you tomorrow for Love You Teacher, and I'll see you next week for Only Friends and Love You Teacher. Okay, dog. Later!